Everyone should be on creatine, especially as we get older, you know.
That's my belief as well.
Yeah, so it's especially we should be doing more anaerobic exercise in general as we get older, and so that anaerobic exercise is going to be filled by that ATP. And so if I have more of this creatine, it ultimately fuels those exercises or those workouts a little bit better. So just making sure I have creatine in my life. It's also good for my brain. It's, neuroprotectants as well. So it just like, it can
Hmm.
kind of stave off some neurodegenerative diseases.
This is Health Unfiltered, the podcast where we cut through the bullshit and get honest about fitness, nutrition, and mental wellness. Ben, welcome. What's good?
Hanging out, man. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, definitely excited. We got a variety of topics to discuss, including drug addiction, exercise physiology, working with clients, owning a business, and competing on Team USA.
Yeah, man.
Um, but before we get into that, Ben, I want to know how you got to this point in your life. Can you fill us in?
So I'm born and raised in Texas, South Texas in specific, and then
Hmm.
moved up to Texas A&M University for my undergrad, where I continued to compete for Team USA. And then after that, I ended up doing my master's at East Tennessee State University. It was during COVID, and so it ended up being online.
Hmm.
And then I found myself here in Vegas because of a lady. And so she brought me out here to Vegas. While in that kind of meantime, between me getting my master's, I ended up doing some construction, which ended up taking me a little bit longer to come to Vegas because business was good. We were doing really well. And so I ended up buying my own house while I was there. Didn't really want to leave, and then ended up moving out here to Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Typical. We have our plans and then life comes up and messes up all our plans.
It's how it goes. I remember I had a client one time that was just like, you can plan all day, but those plans are probably never going to happen the way you expect them to happen. So just keep on, doing things and things will work out, keep on moving.
Definitely. Yeah, it's good to have a plan, but it's also good to go with the flow too.
Exactly. And yeah, it's almost impossible if I would have guessed, being in Vegas, even 5 years ago, I probably would have said you're ridiculous. And so, you never know, man. I never thought Vegas was a place to live, even.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy going to Vegas. Growing up, I would go out a lot with my grandmother. She liked to gamble and she'd take me along with her. And now my mom actually lives there. She moved out
Nice.
there about 3 or 4 years ago to retire. So I get to go out there and visit her. And last time we were there was for New Year's. Went to visit her and proud to say we didn't make it down to the strip one time. Just had
Nice.
some nice quality time with mom and my stepdad, and it was a real nice time.
It's good, man. Yeah, I feel like there's so much to do off the strip, honestly. Like you don't
There
really need to go on
is,
the strip. You can save your money and just not go on the strip.
yeah, and just stay away from that mayhem. I mean, it's fun once in a while, but it's a lot,
100%, man. 100%.
definitely. So I'd like to learn more about your experience working in exercise physiology research labs. You were focusing on nutrition and genetics. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. So I used to when I first got to A&M, or before I even got to A&M, I messaged an individual by the name of Dr. Timothy Lightfoot at the Health Sciences Institute at Texas A&M. And
Hmm.
I was at the time just interested in like what is, being a power lifter versus a bodybuilder. Like, how does that happen? And my assumption was like, yes, there's drugs involved, but what are the genetic differences between these two athletes? Like, what allows somebody to be some way versus another? I wasn't accepted to the university yet, so he was like, "Well, once you get accepted, you can go ahead and message me." And so I messaged him when I moved into town, was accepted to A&M, and ended up working in that lab, working on everything from, we looked at what's called the couch potato gene. We looked at dopamine receptors in the brain, specifically related to the couch potato gene. And then we also were working, on plastics found in makeup. And
Mm,
then while I was doing that, I enjoyed working with mice, but I really wanted to work on the applied exercise physiology world. So that's what we would call basic exercise physiology, which is, getting down to the nitty gritty, if you will. And then you have applied exercise physiology, which is the application to humans. And so I ended up doing in vivo research with humans, specifically in the nutrition world, and that's in Dr. Kreider's lab at Texas A&M. Dr. Kreider's lab is known for creatine research, and so I was around a
mm,
bunch of guys doing creatine stuff, and then we were doing stuff related to a specific nutrient bar in comparison to glucose.
mm.
So definitely enjoyed my time when I was in research. A lot of long hours, and then
Yeah.
unfortunately probably spent more hours in there than I did working really with on classes, really, to be honest with you.
You really enjoyed your time working in the labs?
Yeah, man, it was a wonderful time. Like I really enjoyed it. I mean, I got to meet a lot of really fun people, a lot of really interesting people. I was challenged in new ways. I really feel like that was the experience to be expected with um working in like being in college, you anticipate college and going to classes and whatever.
Hmm.
And really for me, what I wanted to make out of school was more the extracurricular items. And so I was on the powerlifting team at the time. I was doing research, and that to me was like the epitome of college. And unfortunately, because of that, I didn't really go to class, and then I ended up not doing well in school. And so I ended up getting kicked out of Texas A&M actually, and had to go to the community school nearby. Did some work on, making sure my GPA was good. Got
Hmm.
reaccepted to A&M, and then kind of, reorganized my priorities a little bit, making sure I was going to class, taking the test, doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
It just at the time I just didn't really want to do any of that stuff, and I was more interested in, research and lifting weights.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely hard to find balance in
It is.
school.
Yeah, it is.
Challenging.
It can be definitely hard to find balance.
So what did you learn about the couch potato gene?
Yeah,
What's
so
that all about?
we looked at we had two different animals. And so one animal we had two mice, two different sets of mice.
Hmm.
One set was given a chow diet or a regular, what they're prescribed to eat. And
Hmm.
then the other one was given a Western fed diet. And we looked at the activity that was done on a wheel given these diets, and then how that receptor in the brain was different between these two individuals. And then we took the fecal matter from either animal, and then gave it to the other. So we just swapped fecal matter. And then the individuals that were still on the Western fed diet were, now they had different microbiome because of what the child fed fecal matter. And we saw an uptick in this dopamine receptor, which allowed them to actually work out more. And so ultimately saying, your diet makes a difference on whether you're going to be more or less likely to consume food, which is really kind of cool. Your,
That's
your
interesting.
your diet is more likely to determine whether you're going to be working out or not. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say,
yeah,
so depending on the diet, you're more likely to want to exercise or
yeah.
have the
Do
willingness.
Exactly. So you're more likely to just even
Hey,
like
quiet
want
guys.
to, or you're more likely to even get satisfaction out of the workout itself.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So, what kind of foods can lead people to wanting to exercise more?
Ultimately staying away from that Western fed diet, and so very high fat, high sugar is
Mm-hmm.
what we consider, a Western fed diet, and
Mm-hmm.
so that would be the ultimate goal here. So just making sure we're having more of our proteins, complex carbohydrates, things that are going to make us feel not so down, and it's going to also be somewhat subjective, right? So if I eat dairy, I will feel
Mm.
foggy. I don't feel so good. My body just doesn't process it very well. And
Yeah.
so I try to stay away from those things, and me staying away from those things makes me feel better, has a reduction in inflammation, and that reduced inflammation makes me feel more motivated to go work out.
Mm. Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So that's interesting. We were studying plastics founded makeup as well.
Yeah, so that was when I first got into the lab, and they were looking at these specific um, plastics that were used most commonly in makeup. And so they were already pretty like far through the study, but what I got to see was or what I got to learn was that there are sorry, hold on. There were some the three generations down from the injected mice, they still saw um tumors in these mice. And so just showing that, there's the things that we consume or the things that we apply to our bodies will create pretty negative long-term effects all the way down the chain, three generations down.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, man.
Scary too.
It is kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
got to be careful with
there's so much more plastics, in the environment than just makeup. I mean, the food, I mean, I think it's even in the air, in the dust, it's just kind of everywhere now.
it is everywhere. So just making sure that we're taking a good care of ourselves, drinking the right water, having a filter,
Mm,
trying to stay away from those makeups. Just trying to live a nice, clean life is the ultimate goal.
yeah, definitely. And so they were doing a lot of studies on creatine as well.
They
That's
are.
really cool because I'm a really big advocate of creatine. I take it, and I know it's the most studied supplement. So, did you learn any interesting facts about creatine?
Everyone should be on creatine, especially as we get older,
That's my belief as well.
Yeah, so it's especially we should be doing more anaerobic exercise in general as we get older, and so that anaerobic exercise is going to be filled by that ATP. And so if I have more of this creatine, it ultimately fuels those exercises or those workouts a little bit better. So just making sure I have creatine in my life. It's also good for my brain. It's, neuroprotectants as well. So it just like, it
Hmm.
can kind of stave off some neurodegenerative diseases.
That's good. That's good to know. I mean, those neurodegenerative diseases are really prevalent now, and it's really scary.
It's a big deal, man. It's a huge
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on those neurodegenerative diseases in regards to I've heard it been referred to as the, type 3 diabetes. Is
This is
that
correct.
is that true?
Yeah, they refer to it as type 3 diabetes. More of this diet influences, our the way our brain functions. And so
Hmm.
I think that's probably why it's called type 3 diabetes would be my assumption. I'm not super familiar with why exactly it's called that. I just know that, it's definitely more common now than ever, and that's really rather unfortunate. It's pretty detrimental, not just
Yeah.
for the individual, obviously, but for the families around people. And so making sure that we're working out is a really good way to also, stave off of that likelihood purely because or mainly because we have these things called heat shock proteins, and these heat shock proteins will specifically a couple of them, and I can't remember the actual like the heat shock protein number two or whatever it is,
Hmm.
will end up coming out here, and it's a in between your ubiquitin system, and so your UPS system, your ubiquitin proteasome system. What does is it goes and finds these proteins that are misfolded incorrectly. So they're folded just wrong. And so they aggregate. There's a bundle of them, a bunch of them that end up like being in the brain. And then
Hmm.
so the heat shock protein will go in there, unravel, and then refold these proteins to make sure that, that they can still do their job well and they don't aggregate, but they still have a job.
Wow. That's pretty incredible.
It's
So I
cool, man.
know you can work on your heat shock proteins by going in the sauna, but so you can actually improve the heat shock proteins during exercise as well?
Correct. Yeah, there's definitely an uptick of heat shock proteins whenever you're training, and then
Hmm.
there's an incline whenever we are in the sauna for sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right. Well, let's switch topics and get into drug addiction. Do you have any personal experience with that?
Yeah, so I just finished the podcast earlier today. We talked about this quite a bit, and it was a hell of a ride. Definitely a lot of abuse of drugs for a while there. And at the time I was like, well, I'm just having a good time. I'm having fun, right? And in
Yeah.
reality, I was just abusing stuff. And so I struggled with abuse of anything between Xanax and psychedelics and
Mm.
opioids, and ended up going to the hospital a couple times, unfortunately.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so definitely, a lot of drinking in my life, a lot of that kind of stuff.
Hmm. And how did you overcome that?
There was a day that it finally just hit me where I was like, all right, like I can't do this anymore. Like I was more likely going to just I was gonna die. I was gonna kill myself. And
Yeah.
I realized that, and I was like, I really have to do something, or this will be the end. And there's a lot of goals that I have in my life, and um, if I continue down this path, I'm never gonna really make it. I'm never gonna get there to that level of success that I'm really looking for. And so it was just a day that finally tipped over for me, where I was like, this has to be it. And then so I stopped doing like any of your designer drugs, your what we would call our drugs. And I ended up just drinking a lot. And even then, I started seeing a lot of relationships around me just start to crumble. People were concerned for my health, and is like, again, it was another wake up call where I'm hurting the people around me. At what point do I just grow up and figure this out? Like how long or how many people I have to hurt for me
Mm.
to finally realize that this isn't the way to live.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, but it seems like everyone has to come to that point, that rock bottom point where they realize that they need to make a change, and it's really hard to help someone unless they've come to that point in their life.
Yeah, man. And like, I wish I didn't have to get there, like in
Yeah.
reality, that would have been nice. If I would have
Right.
been able to like listen to the people around me and like really take what they were saying to heart, and like realize that
Yeah.
they were actually just caring for me.
Hmm.
Probably would have saved me a lot of pain, a lot of hurt,
Yeah. Time.
a lot of time.
Definitely. Yeah. So how did you overcome your addiction?
Yeah, I guess I finally made the decision, and I was like, you got to decide whether you're going to go ahead and like continue to do this thing or not. And so, last year, I was like, all right, Ben. That's it. And if you can't do it alone, then you have to go to, you have to figure this out. And so,
Hmm.
I ended up going to AA a couple times. I didn't really find like a good like home for me there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just gonna do this on my own. And then I just took all the alcohol out of my house. I still wanted to drink, right? And so I started buying stuff like Free Spirit whiskey, which is super amazing. Recommend. They're not a
What is that?
sponsor. Free Spirit is they're just
It's
a
a
whiskey brand,
non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholic whiskey. It
Oh.
has the burn like a whiskey. It tastes like a whiskey. It like you would never know the difference, man. It is
Mm.
so tasty. I really enjoyed it, and so stuff like that. There's limoncellos, different subscriptions that you can get into that ultimately like have like lion's mane or ashwagandha, and like so you still get a little bit of a weird feeling, if you will. They're just not as
Yeah.
strong, right? And they're a little bit more safe.
That's cool. That's good to know. It's a good option for people
Yeah,
that
there's a
maybe.
lot of non-alcoholic stuff out there, man.
Hmm. Definitely. So you made a conscious decision to stop the drug use and then kind of just did the drinking for a while. And then you came to a point where you're like, I just can't do this anymore and just stopped cold turkey and found those other solutions.
Yeah, and then most recently I made a decision for myself. It's like if I travel out of the country, I'll go ahead and I can have a drink, or I can have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
And so if I'm traveling, it can make sense for me as long as I can come back home and it doesn't continue. And then if it does
Hmm.
continue, then that's now no longer on the table, right? So as
Yeah.
soon as we start, like I'm drinking while I'm gone, and then I'm all of a sudden back home, and now I'm drinking again. That's not allowed.
Mm.
And so. As long as I'm here in town, we don't drink alcohol.
That's good. I like that you set those ground rules for yourself.
and stuck to them. That's the important part.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what counts. So
Yeah.
do you work with clients with drug
Yeah.
addiction or?
No, so my clients are in the most often I don't think any of my clients really have, at least if they do, then I don't know about it.
Yeah.
No, I work mainly on the personal training side of the world. And so I work with just making sure that people continue to live a nice, healthy, life. I write programs. I'm an exercise physiologist or an exercise scientist. That's kind of my main thing. And so I do that. And then I have recently come out with a new product called All the Power. It's a new pre-workout supplement. And so that's the new thing that's just coming out. And yeah,
Oh,
that those
cool.
those are my main two things.
What's the pre-workout called?
All the Power.
All the Power. Nice.
Yeah,
Is that out now, available? Where can
it's
people find that?
available for pre-sale right now, and so you can go to the
Okay.
website, iehealth.co, and you can go ahead and get yours there. Blue
Hmm.
raz and watermelon are the two flavors, and
Yum.
yeah, they're pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they taste really great, and so we're doing pre-sale. We should have orders in shortly, and then we'll start sending our stuffs out here soon. But yeah, we're doing pre-sale right now for those guys.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Is there
Yeah, man.
anything different in the pre-workout that makes it like stand out against others?
Yeah, we have a couple different things. So the first thing is personally, I'm going to speak from personal experience here. I hated drinking pre-workouts that made my stomach
Hmm.
like feel terrible. Like I would start gagging. Just I felt like they were just so intense, maybe, and such
Yeah.
high caffeine content that I couldn't really
Hmm.
like feel good. I had like the worst shits, and so I didn't want that for my product. And so we have a little bit less caffeine, I guess, than like some of your higher stim supplements, which I feel like there's a lot of those out now.
Hmm.
So we only have 200 milligrams of caffeine and 100 milligrams of green tea extract, and so your drop off isn't so aggressive. Like a lot of them is just like this caffeine, and so it's a big high, and then all of a sudden you finish working out, and you're like, oh my God, I don't feel good. And so I wanted to have create a product that was good for especially those who are working out in the morning, where they could take their scoops and then feel like they're focused and they feel good throughout the day. Or if you take it at night that like I work out at like 6. I can
Hmm.
take it and then I can still go to sleep at night. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of adaptogens inside of our product as well, which is going to be different in comparison to most other brands.
Hmm.
So good for the brain. We're very like neuro focused, and so that's our those are our main two things. No GI upset and good for the brain.
Awesome. Yeah, I love pre-workouts, for people, especially just getting started exercising. When I started working out, I would drink a pre-workout religiously, and it really, it's almost like something to look forward to. It tastes good, you drink it, it gets you pumped up, and you're like, "Ugh," and you want to go burn that energy off. And in the past few years, I stopped drinking them regularly and didn't need it. But recently I was kind of struggling with my workout, trying to get back into it after the holidays and stuff. And just the other day, I drank one and I was like, oh shit, I really enjoy this. I forgot that feeling that you get, and you just get that extra pump and you feel good. And definitely have this place. So
It levels
I'm excited to check out your pre-workout.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it levels up the pre-workout game. I think for a while there, I kind of stayed away from them as well, just because they didn't make me feel good. Like I felt like shit
Mm,
drinking them,
yeah,
or like I would take them at 6 and I'm up till 2, and I'm like, I just want to be able to go to
right.
sleep.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like that as much. But like it levels up the game. Like you have some L-citrulline in there, you have some beta-alanine, like you get a good pump, you
Hmm.
feel pretty good. And then your performance can increase as well. Like all these things are, everything inside of our product is research based, and so
Yeah.
it all has a specific rationale behind it. And so better, oxygen to the blood, and more oxygen to the blood means
Hmm.
better workout. Better workout means
Yeah.
better gains. And now all of a sudden, you're feeling good, looking better, and all because you took some
Hmm.
pre-workout. Like it's a pretty good deal.
Definitely a great hack for people just getting started or just not feeling it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or even
I've
if you
I've
have
also,
been started, like. Sometimes you just need that kick in the butt where you're just like, I just need
yeah,
something. Like it
right.
just, yeah.
I was gonna say I've also noticed when I cold plunge in the morning before a workout, I get a really good workout in. It gives me that extra drive. I'm not really sure what is happening there, but I feel
There's
like I have more reps in me.
there's a lot of dopamine that's in the brain right after that. And so
Yeah.
you just feel good working out more, really, because there's a lot of
Mm,
dopamine that's currently dripping out of the brain. Yeah, I don't really cold plunge. I'm not a cold plunge guy. I know everybody talks
yeah.
about it all over social media. I can't do it. I wish I could. I just can't, man. It's
You
just
can.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I can sit in the sauna. I have a sauna here in the
I
house. I can't do it.
I hate it every time, and I think that's good for me.
There is something about that, right?
Yeah.
that is a thing, right? Doing things that we don't want to do and still doing them.
Hmm.
It's important for like there's a part of the brain that will continue to develop if we continue to do that.
Yeah.
And so it can be good. I do a lot of stuff, and so I'm like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like
You got to pick and choose.
pick and choose. Yeah, man.
Can't do everything. It's that self-care overload.
Exactly, exactly. You
Yeah.
get it.
So, exercise physiology. I have a brief understanding of what that is. Can you explain exactly what that is for me?
It's understanding what happens when we exercise inside of the body, simply put.
Very simply put, well stated.
Yeah.
Cool. And so, are there are there different, or I guess I should say, what exercises do you think people can focus on for the maximum results?
So
For
there's
the
the
like
book
the least
says,
input.
yeah, the book says there are four fundamental movements that we have. It's the
Okay.
squat, the
Mm-hmm.
hinge, the push, and the pull. I incorporate a rotation.
Mm.
Those are the five in Ben's book of the
Mm-hmm.
core fundamental movements. So to kind of use those or apply those, a squat is either a front loaded or a back loaded squat, right? So a back squat or a front squat
Yeah.
with a barbell, or if you're not comfortable with a barbell yet and you're still working at it, you can always use dumbbells. But
Mm-hmm.
ideally, we're working with a barbell. We're loading the spine because the loading of the spine helps, increase our bone mineral density. So we really want,
Definitely.
strong bones as we get older. Gotta load the spine, gotta
Yeah.
load the tissue. And then a bench press is an easy push.
Mm-hmm.
Either, we're lying down benching or we have a push that's overhead. And so a lot of people don't necessarily do a lot of stuff overhead day to day. And so if we can train that in a controlled setting, that'd be great for long-term health of that shoulder. If you have the
Yeah.
capability to do it, a lot of people I know have had surgeries and stuff like that. So, you know, use with caution, but those are the two pushes that I would suggest. A
Mm-hmm.
hinge, classically, a deadlift, as much as
Right.
people don't like deadlifting or as much as that's on the internet. Um, as long, again, in a controlled setting, it's a great exercise. If I'm doing, 150% of my maximum and I'm trying it, I'm just hoping for the best. And yeah, it's not going to go very well. Um, but pull a weight that's according, that's reasonable. We're not
Mm-hmm.
looking to get, deadlift 500 pounds. We're looking to just incorporate that hinge, strengthen the lower back, strengthen our glutes, hamstrings,
Mm-hmm.
core, grip. All of those things are done um, with just our, with just our deadlift.
Yeah.
So and then so we got the push, we got the pull. Sorry, we got the push, we got the hinge, we got the squat. So the last two are the pull and the rotation. So a
Mm-hmm.
pull can be as simple as a pull up. A deadlift technically is a pull,
Yeah.
or we can always have some sort of row. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can do a barbell row, a cable row, a lat pull down. All of these things are going to be a pull. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be our pull movement. And then our rotation is you can do a Palloff press. It's a really good exercise to do.
What's that?
Um, a Palloff is where we have a band coming from our side. So let's say that
Mm-hmm.
this is the point where I have my band kind of on and I'm standing over
Mm-hmm.
here. I go ahead and grab that band and I push it away from my body and then I rotate, right?
Yeah.
And then I switch sides and rotate the opposite. right?
Hmm.
Um, so that's a pal off press. Or you can always just grab a medicine ball, like a decent size, 8, 10 pound medicine ball, if you know if you can handle that weight, less if you need it. And we're
Hmm.
just throwing it against the wall. Super simple.
Right.
All
I've
right.
seen
Like
that at the gym
yeah,
before.
you're working on rotation, you're working on core strength. If you have scoliosis, those kind of things are also good to help with that as well. And so overall spine health can be really, really nice. Those are my 5 movements.
Sweet. Pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Everybody
Awesome.
has access to them.
Yeah. So you mentioned bands. What do you think about resistance bands?
I think that they have a place, man. I think that they can be used for stretching. I think it can be used for mobility. I think they can be used for warm-ups. I think they can be used for making exercises more difficult. If you really want to add them
Mm,
to, the top of a rack or the bottom of a rack, it can train different energy systems,
hmm.
and have different purposes. So I think, resistance bands are super helpful, super, super useful.
Definitely. I agree. I got a set. It's been maybe a year and a half ago. We were going on a long road trip and I didn't want to stop working out or have to rely on just body weight exercises. So I got a set of bands, the longer ones that come with the handles and
Yep.
the door anchor and the ankle straps and all that stuff. And I've been doing that for a while now. Actually picked up this book, 15 Minutes to Fitness. I don't know if you've heard of it,
I have
by
not.
Dr. Ben. And he's got a protocol in there where you do twice a week 15-minute workout with a warm up and a cool down, and it's all with the bands. Well, actually, in the book, it's got for at the gym or with bands at home, and so that's been pretty good. I've really been enjoying that. I think I've hit my max on that. I'm up to like three three bands now. I've just been adding and adding, and so I think I'm at a point where I need to switch back to the free weights and but yeah, I mean, for people that are traveling or just don't have the money for the gym or a full set of weights, I think the bands can really be a great asset.
Yeah, you can do stuff at home. I mean, there's a lot you can do with bands for sure. The ones with handles or just, your traditional strength bands. There's a
Hmm.
lot that you can do with all those kinds of things.
Definitely. So I know you're not a big cold plunge guy, but I wanted to know if you had a way to incorporate cold plunge and sauna into like strength training plan, how to like incorporate all three of those aspects into like a
Yeah.
protocol.
So I'll speak quickly to cold plunging because I don't really use it.
Yeah.
But like it can be used for addicts, especially because there's a dopamine drip inside the brain that happens, and so our baseline, increases pretty significantly, and then it drips back down over a longer period of time to a normal baseline rather than dipping under baseline like with the traditional, drug like a cocaine or something like that that would like make it
Yeah.
drop.
Go
Um,
real high and then real low.
yeah, it
It
goes
moderates
high,
that drop.
exactly. So we have that. So you can use it in the morning. You can do for good mood for the rest of the day. You want to avoid
Hmm.
it at night if we can, and then it can stunt hypertrophy. So if you're looking to
Yes.
grow in size, we don't want to be using this guy so much after workouts.
Hmm.
And then you can still use it in the morning. That's fine. You can do cold showers and stuff like that. Again, ultimately, doing something challenging and then something that's good, possibly good for that drip of endorphins throughout the brain. So that's definitely always a good option. And then we also have the the sauna, and so I sauna at night. I sauna when
Hmm.
I'm sick. I sauna quite a bit. And so I have one here in this house and I have one in my house in Texas as well. And I mean, I routinely will make sure that you can even use it for, pre-workout warm-ups where, you can see an
Hmm.
increase in muscle activation by about 15%.
Oh,
So you
wow.
can use this guy for, some pretty significant benefits whenever we're training. And then it's also good again for that recovery, both for like the actual tissue but also for our brains. And then it also improves the sleep quality. So
Mm.
that's a really good way to use it as well. And then uh, for yeah, so that's how I would kind of use them around training. Before workout, 15 minutes before a workout, you can always jump into sauna real quick. After the sauna, you can use it to help with the inflammation, and then the breakdown of tissue, and then you can also use it before you go to sleep.
Cool. So if someone wanted to incorporate all three of those into one protocol, you'd recommend cold plunge first, then strength training, then sauna, kind of that order, or
Uh, Cold plunge, sauna, workout, sauna.
cool. What kind of sauna do you have?
I have a infrared sauna down like your what looks like one of those wood, ones inside the house down south.
Mm.
And then here I have one from Relax Saunas. And that one is just like from the head, like the neck down.
Oh, like a
Um,
little tent kind of
yeah, it's a
thing.
tent. Exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And so I have that one here at this house.
Cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to
yeah.
have a dry sauna, one of those kind of portable ones where the all the panels kind of latch together, and I really loved that. But then I had to move and I gave it to a neighbor. And I had really missed the sauna. I mean, I was doing it every day. I was really enjoying it. So recently I got a sauna blanket, which I've been
Nice.
enjoying again. Yeah, I
Very
went in there
nice.
yesterday. I was moving wood chips around all day and I was super sore. And I was like, if I don't get in the sauna right now, I'm gonna be dying tomorrow. And I feel
It's
great. So I'm really happy I did it.
There you go. It works, man. It helps.
Definitely does. So I want to talk about your health coaching with clients a little bit. When you're working with clients, what's your approach to diet?
My approach to I have two things with diet. First thing, because of my experience as an athlete, I have been lucky enough that my perspective on diet is unique. And so I outsource. I have a nutritionist that I work with, and so we work with our clientele to make sure that they have a team around them. So it's me on the
Yeah.
exercise side, and then we have a nutritionist on the other side. But I am very blasé, I guess. Like, just don't eat like an asshole is my approach. And it's usually my thing. Like, if like, don't eat McDonald's every day. Like, can you have McDonald's every so often? Sure. Don't eat it every
Hmm.
day. Don't
Yeah.
even eat it once a week, probably. Like, it's a treat, right?
Yeah.
And so like we can eat out, we can do all these things, but realize, you don't have the control of what's really going inside of your food and what's going inside of your body. So cooking at home is probably the best option, and then making sure that we have a
I
higher
agree.
protein, yeah, higher protein than we have than carb. But we still want
Hmm.
carbs in our lives. Sugar's not bad. It just, having too much of it is bad, sure. But carbs aren't bad. We need fats in our lives, making sure we have a good fatty diet as well.
Hmm.
About 30% of our nutrition should come from our fats. And so, you know, higher that's kind of like my get-go for most of my clients. And then make sure you're eating around your workout. It's probably my biggest thing. People will like not feel good during their workout, like I'm gonna pass out, like I don't feel really good. It's called hypoglycemia, where we
Hmm.
just we just don't have enough sugar in our blood. So like I'll have somebody like drink a Gatorade and like Gatorade, like really? It's like just drink the Gatorade. And then like 5 minutes later, like, wow, I feel like a new man, like or a new woman. You're like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's all you just need a little sugar in your blood.
Right.
So there's having a place to have appropriate sugar, but making sure you're eating, if you can, a snack an hour before you train, and then ideally, hey, your last meal is no more than 4 hours before your workout. So if I work out at 5, um, between 1 and 5 I should have had my last meal, or so
Hmm.
like ideally like no later than 1 should have eaten last.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a good approach. I've been experimenting with low carb for a while, and I did carnivore diet this year for January. I did it for the first time last January, and I don't know, I didn't really feel my best on it this year. I Yeah, so after I started incorporating fruit back in again and other, flex meals, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I'm
good,
really noticing that carbs, really do have their time and place in a
100%,
healthy diet. So it's
100%.
good. I'm really glad to hear that you work with a nutritionist with your clients and get that full team approach to get
Yeah,
it
we like
well-rounded.
yeah, we like the white glove approach. And so just making sure that everybody's well taken care of. Um, and yes, I worked in a nutrition lab. Yes, I read a lot of nutrition. A lot of
Hmm.
our classes in school are about nutrition.
Yeah.
But somebody that specializes in that, that can like really speak to it, that coaches people on a daily basis and can recognize things that I probably can't,
Hmm.
is helpful and important. And I don't want to know everything. I don't want to have to do everything. And so having help and then also giving the best experience to our clientele is the goal.
Yeah. It's a lot to expect one person to know everything. And I really like that team approach.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think personal trainers are expected to know everything, or they expect themselves to know everything.
Yeah.
And in reality, that's not the game.
Yeah. It's too much. There's too much information out there. Things are always changing. Everyone's different. Everyone has different things going on with them. I definitely
Yeah,
agree.
exactly.
So as a coach, what do you recommend the best way for clients to track their progress?
I mean, it could be as simple, honestly, when I was like a kid or whatever, like I just had a journal, man. Like buy a
Mm,
dollar journal from,
hmm.
the store and like just write your stuff in there, like journal in it, like you would. Like today's, I'd write the date at the very top and what I did, like 5 sets of 5 is squat at this weight, whatever, right? And like time goes by and you have a whole bunch of journals and you're like, wow, that's really cool. You can take pictures. Also, something super cheap. Everyone has a phone, so like take some pictures of yourself, different
Yeah.
angles. Take a picture every couple, so like every quarter, month, every couple months. Um,
Hmm.
the scale is an okay way, kind of depending on your goal. It's not my favorite way. So I kind of like in between there, depending on what our current status is. There's a little bit that's a little bit more nuanced. And
Yeah.
then. I always, is my, you have so many different goals. Like, is my balance better? Like, something that people don't think about, or like, that makes a pretty significant difference. Or um, you know, can I grip better? Can I not just like do a pull up? Like, before we even get to the pull up, like, can I hang on a bar for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
there's so many goals that we can set, like, that are, I think we anticipate, like, I need a clean and jerk, 250 pounds or whatever. You're like, man. Are you showing up to the gym? Like that's a goal. Like right, or like just like doing those kind of things. So I think realizing what those ultimate like what your goal is, and
Hmm.
then tracking those things that are adjacent to that. So it's like it could be an app, it could be a coach that helps you along, it could be something as simple as a journal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I started really paying more attention to body fat percentage and taking pictures and taking measurements, and I think that's a really great way. Because weight fluctuates and, lean mass is more, heavier than fat, and it's, it's definitely a balancing act. And so I think, if people can find good ways, whether it's just journaling or taking pictures or whatever, it's a great way to track progress. So I know
100%.
we're running out of time here. We had a few other topics that we wanted to discuss. Was there anything else you wanted to go over real quick before we end?
I think that's about it. You can go follow my podcast, the Ben Thinking Podcast, and you can find my product at iehealth.co. All the Power is the name of the product.
Definitely. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your podcast. I started listening to it and I really enjoyed it, and I want to
Thanks, man.
recommend other people to check it out. So where can people get in touch with you? Where's the best place?
My Instagram is at Ben Nevares, Nevares. That's probably the best place to reach me. Um, and if you want to, have a consult, we can definitely, we can do consults. It's on my website, iehealth.co. You can just do the contact us, and we'll reach out to you.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Josh, I really appreciate the time, man. Thank you very much.
Definitely. All right, everybody. That's it. Have a good one.
Cheers. Thank you.